Okay, I want to accomplish 3 things today. I'm gonna run a 12 volt from the battery to a relay behind the cluster, because right now I'm running all the accessories of the cluster off a 12 volt ignition that I took from the wire harness that goes to the original cluster. And I think it's too much load for that little wire, so I'm going to use it as a trigger for a relay, and I'm going to run 12 volt from the battery to there, so I have proper power there. I also think that might be why it's snatching power out of the harness, maybe, and then I have a hard time communicating with the VCDS. Anyways, so I'm going to try that and see what kind of result I get. It won't hurt anyway. Other thing is I want to get this the fuel pressure sensor figured out today. When it's plugged in, the engine won't start, and then when it's unplugged, then the engine starts. So there's probably the wires are probably mixed up on it. So I'm gonna do some research, get those wires figured out, and I'm gonna put like bullets, little bullets connectors on it. And then I can swap back and forth between the wires until I get like some good results. So if I can get that plugged in with the engine running, I think it will be beneficial. Even though I have the immobilizer removed on the ECU, I think it might affect my power delivery to the engine. Regardless, another thing is I'm gonna take the drive shaft out, and then I'm gonna take the knuckle out of the transfer case to get ready. When my other knuckle arrived this week, then I can just like put it in and then put the drive shaft back on and be done. So let's do this. So I got it to work. I just flipped the red and the green, and right now I have I can start it with the sensor connected. So first, without connected, let me show you. Oh, that's another reason why I need to change my 12 volt source, because it Okay, now it's plugged in, and well, you're gonna see here in a minute. It takes a little bit before it starts. I need to crank it like for maybe 1-2 seconds before it fires up, and then it feels like it gives like too much fuel, I guess, and doesn't produce any boost neither. Anyways, there he goes. Starts, and I use the gas. It's not working very well, so I'm just gonna leave it unplugged for now. So that's what I got. I put the relay right there, and I have 12 volt coming from the battery. That's the blue wire, the black wire loop around, and ground on the bolt that holds the relay. The yellow is the 12 volts going to the 12 volt terminal block, and the white one is the signal that comes from the ignition. So right now all the 12 volt that I have behind the gauge cluster is running off the battery instead of running from the 12 volt signal that I hacked from the original cluster plug. And it's this one actually, I think, or the black one of those. Anyways, so I tested with the voltmeter. Let's test the cluster. There you go, everything works. That's my wipers action. Anyway, so that works. Perfect. And if I start, and I hooked up my glow plug light to a little light that I had into the switch terminal there. So that little red light that you just saw flashing, that's my glow plug light. So I was doing some testing, and I had the engine running, and just after I plugged all the light switch, like I plugged all the light switch into the headlight switch, and then I started up, and then all of a sudden I had full boost. So I started like giving gas, and it went up like over 20 psi of boost, and then it did a big pop. So I thought it was my valve. First I thought I blew the diaphragm on it. So and then after that I had no boost at all. So I started a couple of times. Maybe it's the ECU doing like some reset or whatever. No boost. And then so I looked up at my N75 valve. I had boost coming out of it. I hooked up the vacuum pump to my actuator. My actuator is moving, and then but it really felt like one of the connection let go, and it's actually what happened. But none of the easiest one popped. Of course, is the one that's like all the way down there that popped out. So the whole thing is popped out of the boot right down there, so I'm gonna need to take all that off and try to get it back in position and tight the poop out of it, and then start it again and see if I get full boost. But good news, I didn't break anything. So, and potentially having full boost right now for some reason. So I just hooked all the piping back in there. Took me like 2 hours. I changed a couple of piping as well. So let's start it and see if we get full boost again. Try again. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, reproducing boost. Nice. So today I'm gonna plug the exhaust for the valve cover. I have like a pretty steep turn there, and if I bend that hose to plug it to the valve cover that goes to the intake, then I get a kink in it. So I have an adapter here, straight adapter, right here, and this guy I'm gonna cut in an angle, and I'm gonna re-weld it. It's stainless steel. So so I get an angle. It's a 1-inch fitting to fit in my 1-inch hoses. Instead of buying a 90, I'm gonna reuse this and then make it work. Other order of business today, I'm gonna jack the Jeep, took all the wheels off, and then I'm gonna address the brakes, bleed everything, make sure it works. I had an issue before I stripped the Jeep completely. The e-brake wasn't working properly, so my cylinders in the drum brakes were good when I check them, so there's no reason where it shouldn't be working. I have the there's a switch in there that provide bypass for one side of the brakes, so it might be that, or it was just not bleed properly. So anyway, we'll address that once we get there. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. Now, here. So I was able to run the update and it's successfully connected, so I'm back in business with BCDS, which is great news. I jacked it, put it on stems, and now we're gonna take the wheels out and bleed all the brakes. So brakes are bled, e-brake adjusted, it works. Well, at least I can't turn the hub by hand, so, and then the adjuster like under the tub is like super smooth, so if I need more then I'll readjust later. Shouldn't be a big deal. So now I have brake. I ran the brake booster to the intake. Today I'm gonna grease everything that's greasable, and then put cutter pins where there should be cutter pins, and make sure like that the bolts that need to be tied up or torqued properly. And then I'm gonna wait for the wheels until I get my control arm in the back. When I get my control arm in the back, I'll situate my axle, and then I'll put the wheels, situate my axles, and then that's when I'm gonna torque all my bolts as well under. But today, yeah, I'm gonna grease everything that's greasable. I'm gonna start sanding.
All in line looks like it's pretty much fixed in the factory space, which maybe means the gears will be thin, maybe they won't hold up to as much power, especially if you're using big brushes. So hard to say, but the performance of the XO1, that was like the original 100 one. Tough to not have some design to drive. There's 4 colors you can choose from as far as the
mil both sides, 85 pounds. This is the lower front control arm. I got 22 mil on the outside, 21 mil on the inside, going 130 pounds. This is the front upper control arm, 15 mil on both sides, and that's 55 pounds. It'll be the same for both sides of the control arm.
So everything is torqued down and greased up in the front, so I'm going to put the wheels in the front, and then the back will wait until I get my knuckle for the transfer case. So that's where I'm at right now. I hit the armor with 60 grit, and I used the wire wheel for like rough spot where there was a little more rust and around the bolts. Right now I'm gonna hit like the 415 with 200 grit, I think, with the pneumatic wheel, and then I'm gonna do finishing with the sponges. All send it down to 40 grit. Okay, this is finally here, just got in. Possibly the last piece of the puzzle to get this thing driving. So the issue that I had with my rear drive shaft is that this is the mega short yoke for the SI, and the nut here sits like right on top of the yoke like this. And then when the U-joint travels, well, this section of the U-joint is fixed on this plane, so it doesn't travel. But this section of the U-joint, every time it pivots, it hits the bolt and limit the travel. So it restrict the travel quite a bit. And if you look at the angle, like the boat, like kind of limit that travel a lot on this axe. So the solution to that was to order the normal yoke, and then we'll see if that works. So they're gonna be, that dimensions look fairly similar. That ledge looked a little bit bigger for some reason. I'm gonna need to try to fit on the spline and see if that works, but The main difference is the bolt, instead of sitting right on top and limiting traveling of the yoke, it sits in a pocket hole right here, deeper. So the angle is much better and allowed the yoke to travel much better. Not the yoke, but the U-joint to travel much better. Okay, so I have 9 minutes of recording time. So I just changed the seal around the side. I just knocked it out. I use like a big screwdriver, just pried it out. Wasn't pretty. The seal was destroyed in the process, but it worked. And then I just took the new seal and tapped it gently with the hammer and a piece of cardboard, and then left no mark, and it looks in place right now. Now this is the new yoke, and then what I'm gonna use is the ultra gray stuff. It's high torque, so I think it's appropriate for this application. They say to apply it and then put the part right away, install the part right away, and does it fit? Oh yeah, like a glove. Does it fit? It's not. It doesn't. It doesn't slide in. Fuck! It doesn't fit. It doesn't clear the ledge inside for some reason. Okay, well, it's never ending, eh? That's the part number for it. NP231 yoke side kit. And it looks like I'm gonna need to chop it by 1 inch, but I'm gonna take measurements here in a second. Because it took me 3 hours to find a machinist that could actually do the work this week. Everyone's backed up, and so I paid $110 for that yoke on Amazon, and then it was saying it was for the NP231 with a side kit, and obviously that's not true. So there's two kind of steps to the yoke. There's this first part that goes into the NP281, and then there's the spline inside there. And this section is too thick, so it has to be like reduced, and it's too long, so it has to be chopped as well. And this step right here, that's where the seal rides on the yoke. And because they cut it, they tapped hole on the yoke, there's been like this some grinding spot on that ring there, on that step, which compromised the seal. So anyway, long story short, this step's gonna need to be shortened and then reduced in diameter. This one's gonna have to be reduced in diameter and re-sleeved to match, because now it's gonna be too short. So it's gonna be reduced in diameter and then re-sleeve and then cut to specs, and then that's it. Oh yeah, and the inside needs to be bored as well a bit, because on the other one the splines are not going fully to the end. They're kind of stopping like maybe like half an inch before the end of the receiver there. So yeah, I'm gonna get the part in 2 days, and it's gonna cost me $200. So to say I'm frustrated would be an understatement. 2 days later, and I got my part back. Got the machine shop. The machine both ends exactly the same. Actually, that end to match that end. And now it should fit right in like this one. And so I just need to put some sealant in it and lubricant on top and put it in. And then yesterday I finished prepping all the parts. I just need to tape the window, the windshield, and then there's one door I need to tape one side, and then I'm ready to spray that. So let's do that. So I sprayed everything, and an hour to an hour and a half after, I just unmask everything. The hood would have needed maybe one more bottle, so maybe down the road I'll take the hood off and put another layer on top of it. Just gonna let that dry for 24 hours, and I'm gonna install it on the Jeep.